Got the thumbs up. So I will call the meeting of the Finance Committee for Stephenson County, circa Monday, June 17th. Here in the Gracious Students Center Conference Room on the 7th floor in Freeport, Illinois. And this meeting is called to order. I would open up the floor to see if anybody would like to pray. If not,
I can do that.
all right. Mr. Frick.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this group that's meeting here tonight. We thank you for the wisdom that's present. We ask that you would guide us in decisions that we make as we go along here this evening. Ask for your blessing on each one of the members here, and we also ask for your blessing on our county.
Thank you, Steve. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight. So moved by Ms. Baker. Second. We got a second, Mr. Jovers. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Review and approval of meeting minutes from May 13th, 2024. Everybody's had a chance to look at those. Entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. McLean. What? You seconded that? Okay, thank you, Mr. Brandt. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Changes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of claims. We have claims in the amounts. Let's see, cash requirements, $375,588.89. Manuals of $622,372.53 for a total of $997,961.42. I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bush. Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Baker. Anything, discussion, thoughts? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Oh, shoot. Hey, moving on. Reports Committee, Diamond Brothers. Carrie McBride is here to give us a mid-year report. How great everything's going.
Good enough over there.
Health.
Or not,
Are good. Good evening.
Good evening.
See you all. It's been a while. No news is good news. I will skip through pretty quickly the first page. You already know about Diamond Brothers. Our philosophy there is the 4 C's. I've talked about that a lot. We try to keep our 4 walls in good shape to withstand external pressures in the insurance marketplace, both on the benefit side and property casualty side. I'll get to that in a moment. I am now on this page here, the table. The insurance marketplace is still a very, very hard market, especially property. I am delivering renewal property that are on here, the commercial property line, cat free, which would be catastrophic free, meaning not in the coastal areas. I would update that 5 to 15% to 10 to 40% with no losses, almost perfect buildings. The property insurance marketplace is very hard. The capacity to write it has shrunk tremendously. I don't see that changing for a while. Everything else is pretty spot on in terms of the outlook. Some a little bit high, others higher. The only shining star, believe it or not, is workers' compensation. I am delivering renewals that are less than expiring pricing, so that's still looking good. That used to be the opposite. So just a marketplace outlook, same as before. I think I've talked about this before. Next page, these are the property casualty and work comp claims by department. I did present this information last time. The only add to it is here, passing around the claims to date from your renewal. So we renewed your property casualty on December 1st of last year. So these are the claims to date from December 1st of 2023 to June 14th. The grand total is about $12,000. Pretty minor. There's been 2 auto claims, one for $4,000, the other for $2,200. Yeah, it's a property, excuse me, one auto, one property. The rest are workers' compensation claims. I apologize for the squiggly blackout marks. I took everyone's name off of there. I didn't want to violate any privacy. You guys are allowed to see the names, but if someone happens to drop this piece of paper, I wouldn't want that out floating in the world. So I scratched out the names. Nothing really to be too concerned about. These are pretty typical small dollar claims. We do have a $50,000 work comp deductible, so these are going to be out of pocket. I don't see anything alarming here. Really nothing to discuss. But this is I think I'm gonna keep going forward with year-to-date claims like this, and we'll talk about it at committee so you can get a feel for the types of claims that are coming across. If that's okay.
Gary, how is that likely to impact our renewal? I mean, if we have like no claims through the year,
Great for your renewal. It's always good.
that's kind of.
It's always good. We are running, if, years past, again, going back to this page on what in your packet. The claims in the last 3-4 years, compared to say, even before that, have been running, knock on wood, pretty well, pretty good. The safety programming is working. We have engagement from the department heads. The carrier is happy with how things are going. Not much to report there. It's looking good so far. Okay. Any questions on that? Moving on to the next page, how do we impact costs again? Pretty self-explanatory. ICRT, which is your insurance carrier, does a great job of pushing information to you to help. Mark Bell is a loss control rep who does a fantastic job of getting a hold of department heads and going out and visiting and talking about safety programming. I know a lot of things that are happening in the nursing home. They've restarted the safety committee, I believe. Mark has been very involved in that and pushing the information out rather than relying on, say, a department head pulling information from him. He is a great resource that I hope we have forever. Lots of success stories. Again, there's leadership engagement. The sheriff's department and health and highway department are very good at taking advice from the loss control rep and implementing those. Next page. Any questions on property casualty? Kind of prove through that. There's really no news, good news.
After, now that we're 6 months into it, do you have any further expectations on the liability side, the nursing center? We talked about being a little nervous about that.
I am nervous of getting a renewal to cover the nursing center, I won't lie. The underwriter from ICRT did say, hey, it was a tough renewal to get this year. I'm not sure that we can get a renewal from the reinsurers next year. So if that is the case, again, as always with all of your insurance, both P&C and benefits, we go out to market and solicit quotes. I'll talk about that in a minute on how that works. And I'll remind you that we go out to 20, 30 different carriers. So while ICRT may or may not offer nursing home coverage on the liability side, the workers' comp side, there are other carriers out there that absolutely will offer it. It's a matter of how much it will cost. Do I have an indication of that? No, I don't. We're going to start those conversations probably in a month. We'll start the renewal process in August. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Turning to the benefits. Again, just to recap, we changed the plan offerings starting 1/1. We changed the renewal date to 1/1. So deductibles always reset to 0 on January 1st. Your plan can renew at any time, but we have those both on 1/1. I think that serves the county better. We had great open enrollment meetings when we made those changes. Over 100 employees attended, and myself and my counterpart Terry met with 50 or probably more than 50 employees one-on-one for specific questions. It was good. They were very engaged, which we'd like to see. We did implement an online open enrollment system, which worked very, very well. We plan to do that again. very efficient system that we use. Each month, employees get communications, trying to improve the consumerism for our employees, and I think that's helping with getting rid of the zero deductible. So people do have to think and be more mindful of their consumerism in healthcare. Questions on that so far? The next page here, this is your claims or your subscribers. The data I got from Blue Cross Blue Shield only goes through April. I expect to get May's maybe this week. They're pretty lagging in their data. What I'm trying to highlight on this page is if you look at the medical subscribers for October of 2023, and then go down to look at the premium in October of 2023, you've got 185 employees on the plan. Then come April, this last month of data, you have 9 more people on the plan. And if you look at the circled amount in April 2024 and the premium, you can see there's a premium reduction. More people on the plan, but you're paying less. That has everything to do with the plan design changes we made. So that is savings.
Way to go,
So that's
guys.
good news, really good news. So you can see that right there in the bottom line. So
Very
we not pat each other on the back. The other thing I want to talk about, any questions on that? So really your average, your higher premiums, you're going to see that step down. The other thing I want to talk about is a lot will come up when we start this renewal process and solicitation of quotes is you will start hearing people talk about why aren't we self-insured? We're big enough. We have, almost 200 people on the plan. We cover actually 425 lives if you think about dependents. So if you flip to, let's look at both pages at once if you can. Flip to the next page. I want to just real high level primer on self-insured versus fully insured. I want you all to keep this in mind because it will come up. You will get asked about it. Self-insured is a great option because you are in the driver's seat. You pay for your claims. Again, I don't want to get into a dissertation here, but when you are self-insured, you are responsible for basically you pick a deductible amount and usually it's $50,000. The county would theoretically pay for all claims $50,000 and under. So that's one cost. The other cost is buying stop loss premiums, stop loss insurance to pay for claims that are over $50,000, so higher claims. And then there's administrative costs. So that technically, if you run a good self-insured program, is cheaper than fully insured. Okay. Don't really have to know the technical aspects there other than if you're running at a lower loss ratio, it absolutely makes the most sense to be self-insured. However, as I've talked about here in the last 2-3 years, your loss ratios have been running much higher than 100% consistently. So if you flip back to this page, right now on the bottom right, the second piece here, we are running at 96% loss ratio. But you can see the ups and downs, and you've had some good months and bad months. Historically, this loss ratio has been 120%. I think the highest I've ever seen is 140%. You really want to see this loss ratio 80-ish% or lower. That's when self-insured makes sense. So again, self-insured, you are taking on the risk. So if you look at this column here, these are claims paid. And you can see the ups and downs. There's good months and bad months. There's a $500,000 month in March versus a smaller month, say a $210,000 month. So that's your cash flows that are hard to predict when you're self-insured. Now we can smooth premiums. There's all kinds of things we could look into. But again, self-insured, you're taking the risk. And with us in the industry called this group kind of an unhealthy group in that the loss ratios are high. So getting back to this page, when underwriters look at your group, they really, the bottom line there on the text is underwriters are going to determine the likelihood of how many claims are going to go over $50,000 or pierce that $50,000 threshold. And all of the self-funded, self-insured options last year when we solicited declined because the county has a high likelihood of piercing that 50,000 and eating into the stop loss premium that you would get. Again, this is very technical, but I just kind of want to start talking about it because I know this conversation will come up. People will talk about why aren't self-insured? We're big enough. We can, take control. It is a great program if your loss ratios are lower. Any questions on that? So fully insured, there are good things. I don't want to rip on fully insured plans. Fully insured plans, the carrier, your insurance carrier taking all of the risk. You know exactly what your premiums are going to be. They're higher, but gosh, if you have a lot more claims than the premiums you're paying in, that's on your carrier. You know exactly what the premiums are going to be. You just multiply the people by the premium and you know what's going to be. Does that make sense? Okay.
Do you think 50,000 is a number that is realistic?
Yeah,
In the medical world?
Very good question. If you go to the next page,
Okay,
we'll talk about high cost claimants. This is a piece of data that all of the underwriters want to look at. And again, I alluded to, they want to see what the likelihood of how many high cost claimants will pierce through that $50,000 level. You can set it to 75, you can set it to 100. On average, I see between 50 and 100. So if you look at this, the top portion of that, the vast majority of claimants are under 50,000, which is good. However, if you look at that second portion, there are 6 high cost claimants and the average claimant is 91,000 per claim. This is a little bit too high for underwriters to feel comfortable going on a self-insured claim. And they'll dig into these claims. We have very specific claim information on exactly not who, because it's HIPAA, but what these claims are. Could it be cancer treatment? Could it be, a one-time thing? It's some sort of bad accident, heart attack. They dig in to see what that is. Now, if it's chronic, then that's kind of an ongoing thing. They can separate that out versus, if someone had a bad accident. So they really drill down into that in their underwriting to see, hey, how long do they think this treatment's going on? What's the likelihood? They also look at average age. They look at a whole host of things. So again, this is another data point where underwriters look at to see if you would qualify for a self-insured. Again, last year we went out to a number of self-insured plans, all declined. Here's the two biggest pieces of data. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, what number would it have to be 91 down to 50 for a human underwriter to?
It's a very good question. I'm insuring, we moved manufacturing group from Blue Cross Blue Shield, almost identical plans to you, to self-insured, and we're in open enrollment right now. Their claim data overall, they're running at an 80%, 79%, 79% last year, 72% loss ratio in the last 2 years. Very healthy group. They had 1 or 2 claimants. One, I think, was a benign brain tumor, so it's understandable. They know it's not going to continue, so they're like, okay, we're comfortable with this risk. There's really no cancers in there, nothing chronic. To give you a number, I don't know what that number is. I'd have to look back at the data set from this other group to compare it to this group. I would want to say that, this average, I circled the 91,000, you probably want that average less than 50. But again, there's a million pieces of information that underwriters look at. This is a handful.
Thank you.
I hope that answered your question. Ongoing activities, we have emails going out to all employees, just kind of their infographics. Some of you may have seen them. They're infographics, just kind of highlighting, hey, I can't remember. like healthy eating, hydration, screenings. We encourage everyone to use the Blue Cross Blue Shield apps for their phones. We just went through wellness screenings. We got that last month. We did the blood tests. Those are very telling. Last year and this year, there have been a number of employees where had some, they do kind of green, yellow, red, and a couple were in the red where they're like, you need to call your doctor. So those are good preventative things to do. I hope that continues. Any questions? The very last page, important date upcoming. So your property casualty renews on 12/1. We are maybe 6 weeks, 5 weeks away from starting the renewal process. So during the month of August, I will collect data on exposures. Exposures meaning payrolls, number of vehicles, buildings, things of that nature. There's all kinds of questionnaires that we fill out. And we collect this data and create submissions and send to the various carriers. Our goal is to send them out by the beginning of September, end of August. Takes about 3 weeks to answer the underwriting questions and gather additional data, and I expect quotes around middle of October. We review, put them together, and then I will present to you what the results are of our marketing. We call it marketing efforts. If you recall, last year, I think I shared with you the marketing list, and it was 20 or 30 carriers. So I expect to do the same thing this year. And then we go through the renewal or the approval process, same as last year. I'm assuming those dates that I have on there are correct, approved at the November Finance Committee meeting, 13th, and board approval, November 15th for a 12/1 renewal.
I'll make 2 comments on that real quick.
Sure.
One, tonight, actually, we're looking at changing the dates.
Okay.
Likely to 11/8 for the finance meeting
Right.
in the morning at 8:30. And then because we need to move the county board meeting up from Thursday to Tuesday in order to present the budget. And then have a 2-week layover for that and meet on the 26th again to approve the budget, 2 days before Thanksgiving.
So 11/8 is the finance, and what would be the board?
11/12, assuming this committee
And then the layover, the final,
layover and final is 11/26.
that's finance.
Mhm.
Oh, 11/26. Final.
And I would expect you'll probably be here at the October meeting, give an update.
What is the exact date of the October meeting? Does anyone have that?
Uh,
Should be this number.
Somebody can release
Oh, for finance?
finance in October.
October 14th,
Finance.
and then board is when? Okay. That should not be a problem at all.
Okay.
Then I assume it's the same, pretty much the same dates for your benefits. Your benefits don't renew until January 1st. You can follow that same process. We can do both. That's how we want to do it. Do both at the same time. It's a lot of information, but we can do it.
Any issues with that, Mr. Chairman? Sounds good.
Okay. When would you need me to present to the county board? Would it be at the final or the, on the 11/26 or the 11/12? I guess it depends on.
think that would be the 11th, 12th.
Whichever meeting we choose to put it on as an action item.
We would shoot for 11, 12.
Sounds good.
That's all I have, unless anyone has any thoughts, questions.
Any questions for Carrie? Carrie Dunn, great job as usual. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And we will move on to the county administrator. I do not see. You want me to just read through what you gave me?
Well, I think you sent it to everybody, didn't
What's that?
you? Sent it to everybody, didn't you?
Did you send, well, yeah, everybody got it? I think you have to- I guess I really don't need to read it. She's got a report that's part of the packet. If anybody has any questions for her, I'm sure you can reach out. When's she back? Yeah.
Next week, I believe, right? She won't be here for the count.
All right. Madam Finance Director, you have the floor.
Just to provide a quick audit update, we're still having some issues obtaining a report requested by the auditors. It does pertain to the nursing center's bills for the 2023 year. So since prior month and even prior year, invoices are paid at all different times. We're having problems providing totals for those payments in a report that's easily deciphered for the auditors. So we've reached out to CIC, our software company. They've escalated it to programming. They're a little bit slow to respond. So we believe that this is a special report that they will have to compile at the programming level. So yeah, that's the status on that. That's the only thing that they're waiting for, as far as I know at this point. So hopefully we can get that nailed down and taken care of very soon.
Is there additional detail they're looking for or something? I would think, I mean, you've got a record of payments. So what seems to
It
be
is
the
very,
catch point?
in the budgetary program, there's a very 10,000 foot view of totals for each month, in and out. Those include audit adjustments, all of the lump AP payments, that type of thing. So there's not an AP report that we can run because of the messy nature of the nursing center and paying those prior year invoices so far into the next year.
Gotcha.
So,
That makes sense.
you know, you were still paying
Yeah,
them.
they're overlapping.
Yeah, they're
Like, we're in
overlapping.
2 years now. Like, we have gotten to the point where we still have January 23 invoices unpaid. So hopefully this won't happen next year because we've just cut it off completely. We don't care how old the bill is. It's gonna be dated when we pay it. But we are still dealing with a lot from
Gotcha.
23. So it's the overlap.
Yes, that's causing the issues. So we're working through that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I didn't know if you wanted to, I can just wait on the budget policy if you want. Business.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to mention is once we, the budget policy, I hope to distribute that in the budget worksheets to departments. That's all I have.
Any questions? Madam Treasurer, you want to talk?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize again to those of you who are already on my oversight committee for any repetition. I tried to change some words up so that they're not exactly the same, but so everybody got the link to the website posting of the May report on June 9th. There hasn't actually been a whole lot of activity in May. And I remember telling you that this page had all the yellow. There's only a little bit of yellow. So I promise you there'd be a whole lot of yellow. There's not that much this month, which just means that only one investment vehicle actually matured during the month of May. During the month of June, there's a whole lot more activity. When you look at the bottom line, as compared to April, in terms of total funds, including all invested funds, we're only down like 5.18%, which in 1 month is great. So I think we're really in very good shape in most months. We have that one in particular. So, but overall, very, very good shape. We also made the year's first interest payments on the mill race bonds. Those are due June 1st. By December 1st, we'll make the interest and principal payments. So that's really, there's not a whole lot of activity that happens on that part of the page there. So, does anybody have any questions about the specific report color that you see on it or the color you don't see on it? One thing to highlight too is, again, sorry, admin, the income tax number is pretty healthy this month for May. That's because April 15th was income tax due date. So the state is really good at turning around income tax payments the next month. Not so great at the other tax collections, but income tax is very good. So that's why that number is particularly large this month. And then it will be again in October. Questions about any of that?
6 months in, any red flags?
Nope. Well, other
Didn't
than the
think so.
one.
The one we
Still
know,
outstanding,
other than
yeah.
the one we know.
Other than the one. Well, and that kind of get, not really yellow flags, I'm gonna call them red flags or yellow flags. So I mentioned in the admin committee report, and I've mentioned also to the finance director that the Department of Revenue has alerted me there will be reductions in the personal property replacement tax payments we get. We get 8 of those a year. This year we got, and this is state fiscal year, July 1 to June 30. We received 1.16 million. The estimate was 1.25 million. So we're down already in the current year, which ends June 30th. Statewide, they're reducing, the Department of Revenue is lopping off 200 million. So we'll be taking another hit to compound the shortfall we just took. We don't know how it will actually look until the estimates come out in August. It's not to make or break us by any means. It's just always been a nice, reliable source of income that we could, because of the kind of tax it is. We have a lot of latitude where we can put it, not unlimited, but a lot. And so this kind of takes away a little bit of freedom to move some money where we need to. So, but again, we won't know until August, which is hard from a budgeting standpoint, because again, this is the fiscal year for the state, and that crosses 2 of our budget years. So we're already going to get, we already didn't get what we were supposed to get this year. We're facing a reduction before we even get to December 31st. And then the first 6 months of next year are going to be reduced as well. So again, the total's like 1.1, 1.2 million. So it's not huge, but you know, it's not the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really plugs some holes in certain funds that really can, there really aren't a lot of other options in terms of funding other than just moving money from the general fund, which we're trying to not do. We can do that. So,
Where did the legislature send that money?
actually, it wasn't the legislature this time. So what happened is that there were a lot of amended business income tax returns based on a lot of changes in legislation that basically refunds were given to these entities rather than them paying in. So that swing sucked that money back out of that pot because that's where those dollars go. So not great news. There's maybe a little bit of mitigation coming later from the local government distributive fund, which may get a boost. Over the past few years, the legislators have been reducing that amount. The hope is that they will increase it, and that it's not going to be a complete offset, but it'll mitigate a little bit.
We have Andrews here on that.
Sorry.
We have our state senator and our representative here on that.
I'm sure they know about the local government distributive fund. I know I've had that discussion with them before, but they're, you know, obviously fighting an uphill battle
Right.
in Springfield. So especially when it comes to bills pertaining to finance. So I don't know that, you know, when you're swimming upstream, I'm not sure how far. So, but, you know, sales taxes are up a little bit too. So that indicates, you know, somewhat a confidence in your local economy and spending. It just takes 4 months from the time you spend those dollars for us to see them. So there's a lag.
Yeah, I wonder how much of an impact inflation really has on that.
You know, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's because the percentage of the total. So if your spending isn't changed, your spending habits haven't changed, your dollars are likely going up, which means taxes are going up. So it's hard to know.
Right, yeah, curious.
And in an area, a lot of the payments that we get from the local distributed fund are population based. So if we continue to lose population, then that in itself is a challenge in terms of funding. So yellow flags, not red
Gotcha.
flags.
Thank you.
Okay, so any questions about that kind of financial information? So then I just want to update you on property tax collections. So bills were mailed May 29th. First installment is July 19th, second September 13th. I'm most excited about our new electronic payment provider. It's going very, very well. A lot of people are utilizing the e-check option. The volume is up more than 500% over the same amount of collection days last year. Like I mentioned in admin, we have a little over 100,000 at this point. Before I came up, we had 683,000 so far. So I think that's a success. And as of the end of the day today, we've collected over 9.4 million, nearly 3 million more than just last week when I updated you. So that's going well. And we continue to see an increasing number of people pay both installments at once, which helps everybody. So good news there. So that is all I have, unless you have questions.
Any questions?
I will be attending a Illinois Government Finance Officers Association meeting tomorrow on cash flow forecasting. So yeah, I'll share.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, old business approval to change the November meeting date and time. Updated calendar here that shows finance meeting on November 8th at 8:30 a.m. The first county board meeting then, well, I guess we're just worried about the finance meeting. You know, we don't really have the authority to change the other one. So I would entertain a motion to move finance to November 8th at 8:30 a.m. So moved.
Yeah.
Second, Mr. Gilbertson Spiger. Any questions, comments? Issues for anybody? I'll manage that.
So,
All right,
sorry, Chairman. So it's not at 8:30 on the 8th?
Changing it to,
I'm just looking on the website and that's what it says it is currently.
well,
Because
then we don't
the
need to change
11th,
that.
the 11th is Veterans Day.
Yeah, so it was already there. Why is this on our agenda?
Because there's only 14 days between the first
Right.
reading of the budget and
But we're not changing the county board
we
moving.
don't have to change the finance. We just have to change the.
You have 15 days.
Yeah.
To account.
that's part of the.
Right, but
budget
we're already
process.
meeting on the 8th.
Finance.
For finance. But we're not gonna make a motion here to change the county board meeting.
Into 30.
I mean, that's gotta happen at the county board level, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, I missed that. I was assuming we were moving the finance meetings. Okay? No
It'll come out
action.
of your committee though.
What's that?
The action item will come out. You don't have to do anything tonight.
Oh, just so it's,
You want to talk about it, I guess. It's finance. There's not a whole lot to really discuss because you have to have 15 days.
so I guess,
Move it. 26. 14.
well, no, I think what he's saying is we've gotta do it by the 12th because then you don't wanna be meeting on the 27th or 28th. You gotta have 2 weeks.
Is it 2 weeks or 15 days?
15 days.
15.
So then that is,
What do you need to move it to the 27th? So you got your 15 days.
Get the dates all figured out. Could be.
when we thought it was 2 weeks.
I remember we talked about it last time.
And I think Georgia mentioned that this had happened in 2020, I believe. We talked to the state's attorney and he said he suggested it be 15 days.
Well, I would think it'd be a fairly quick one. We've already chewed on everything.
Last year, that's when some of the changes were made.
Last time Georgia said there's 15, we're currently at 14.
Right.
She stated the statute, and then the current meeting is November 8th in the morning. Can the board change it? And then what about the 27th at night? And then we motion to layover. I think we were looking to move the county board meeting at the finance meeting.
Thoughts? Be good to have a consensus, I think, not at this committee.
We can't move them.
Well, it's Veterans Day holiday.
But if you start counting 12, 13, 14.
You can't count the day you're having the
26 gives you
meeting.
15.
Count the day you
Why?
have the
If you're
meeting.
presenting it,
But stays between meetings.
it's 15 days of available.
I don't think the statute says that, does it? I don't know. I honestly don't.
What would be the difficulty in meeting on the 11th? Aside of the fact that it's Veterans Day, and folks have the day off.
Department heads have a day off.
Yeah.
Courthouse won't be.
We know the guy with the keyboard.
I would not have it on the 11th. Be paying holiday pay to deputies.
Right.
It's your day off. George's day off.
What's it? Yeah, all we got is 27th.
Change the time of the meeting?
Yeah, we could go during earlier, maybe. Any thoughts on that? I don't know, during something. People have places
Was
to
there a
go.
comment at your last meeting about making sure the public could be there though?
Yeah,
Working?
yeah, it's true.
We'll make it an hour and a half earlier or something like that. 5.
Yeah, personally, I don't have any issues either way. It stays at 6:30, moves to the 27th. I don't. We'll be going anywhere that weekend. So. I'm out of other ideas, guys. You can't really wait until the following Monday. Yeah, I guess the new board wouldn't be seated by then.
The board's not seated until December.
Well, the following Monday would be December 2nd.
What were you talking about? Pushing us
If we
into
put
December?
the county board budget approval meeting,
You can't do it in December. It's got to be done in November. Why are we, I guess, why not have, and I'm just throwing this out,
Yeah.
I thought we had this all figured out last month. But why not have finance Friday morning, November 1st, have board meeting on November 6th, and the final reading on the 27th?
you mean the 12th, board meeting on the 12th,
No,
finance on the 8th.
no, finance on the 1st, board meeting on the 6th, and the 27th.
How do we have finance before the rest of the
That's
committees?
21 days.
We're not having it. Well,
Meetings.
then you could do it on, can you do it on the 13th and 27th? No. You'd have to do it on the 12th. We said 12th. Which is what I think we decided last month. I thought this was all decided.
Yeah, really, our only option is the 12th and 27th.
Finance on the 8th.
I mean,
Sounds like a plan.
I think
Quick, somebody write it down before. we
keep the
forget.
same times. I think what they should do.
so do we have consensus?
Which of this?
Moving the the county board budget approval meeting from the 26th to the 27th to meet the 15-day requirement. I hear no loud objections coming.
We're gonna, we're just gonna,
So we might as well go ahead and
we gotta take it to 6:30.
so we're recommending to the full, I would entertain a motion recommending the full board moving the meeting, budget approval meeting from the 26th to the 27th, same bat time and channel.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry for taking so much time. Let's see. Chair reports, finance, as far as I'm concerned, oh wait, sorry, but approval of budget. policy. Adrian, I tried skipping. Almost. You have the floor again.
Okay, so just to reiterate what we discussed last month, we'd like to see the fixed asset updates become part of the budget process. It is already in the policy, but we think it's overlooked. So we want to make sure that those lists are updated every year based on the comprehensive list provided by the auditors. I think that would just make it easier moving forward instead of everybody putting their stuff in and then us having to compile that. So that was one just issue that we wanted to bring forward again. And then the other change was the 4% COLA on page 9 for all non-union employees. And then I don't know if I should change because on the budget calendar, it does have the county board adopts on November 26th, so I can change that to the 27th.
I would entertain a motion to approve of the fiscal year 25 budget policy as presented with the updates, moving the meeting from the 26th to the 27th for budget approval.
So moved.
Lane? Any discussion? Comments? Anything else, Adrian? You want to add?
The only
Okay.
things.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Chair reports, it's interesting, the only comment I will make is the continued strife with the management company that's running trying to run our nursing home. And I'm 2 years, them at the helm are still at very dicey situation. Where, we've actually improved the census out there with the folks that are out there now doing that. But, and that, I had a comment, I asked a question about the outstanding AR, for those of you that weren't there, on Thursday. And I was trying to go through it line by line. I'd asked Mr. Filippo to give us a report on anything that was older than 120 days. So instead of doing what I asked him to do, he came back and said, well, I looked at all these other county homes or all these other county homes and private homes. Everybody's the same. Everybody's about 20%, ARs outstanding more than 120 days. At least that's the take I had on it. And I'm just sitting there, okay, but that's not what I asked you to do. Well, then we got specific on a line item. And it was a negative, like $99,000, which made it look like we owed somebody that much money. So, oh, well, that's not accurate. We only owe them about 10,000. And then we came back and he said, but the totals are right. And at that point, I was just done. I'm like, yeah, you would have loved it. So that's all the further I'm gonna say it. But I really struggle with the way things are being approached there, and they're starting to give our interim administrator a hard time, I think, in an unprovoked manner, which is unfortunate. And we really, do need to try and all work together better. But I just think it's gonna be difficult. I will leave it at that. Yes.
Question. When I look at the material for the packet, it shows what, a positive profit loss. And then we're not making up any ground on the bills.
Pretty interesting, isn't it?
Losing money, actually. I don't understand.
According to them, it's a factor of the fact that everything's front loaded with the liability. And we're gonna catch up by the end of the year. Which I laughed at too. Anyway, yeah. According to what I heard at the meeting, we made $700,000, give or take, last year. And that was my exact question. I said, well, then why aren't we making up ground on the AP? Oh, well, that's because, having to pay all this stuff up front for the liability insurance. Or what, some of the payments is gonna be. Anyway,
They're not, they-
that's the one area that, from a finance standpoint, again, I know that really comes through the Coles Committee. But it's a financial impact to the county, in my opinion, a negative connotation, and it's unfortunate. Again, we'll see what happens once we get through the next election. And maybe things will change. Anyway, that's all. Administration, Mr. George.
I just wanted to comment on two things. One was we're gonna have the Microsoft renewal. That's gonna be for the whole year. It's like $85,042. We'll have that coming to the full board. And then I guess the other one that I wanted to comment on was the little bit of conversation at the administration meeting about the people coming in and complaining about their tax bill. Some of the things that were said was very upsetting to me, as well as the people that were taking that verbal abuse. I don't think that's uncalled for. So hopefully people can realize that they're not going to take this money with them, leave this earth, and it's not that important. Taxes are, just what they are. They shouldn't be taken down. So I was pretty upset. I'm still a little upset about it. Hopefully we can put up some big signs or something. I don't know, but it's out of control.
actually, if you don't, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I have spoken to the administrative assistant at the sheriff's office,
Okay.
and we can engage auxiliary deputies
Okay.
at any point if we want to. I was thinking about doing that during due week, and because of my interest, we actually are seriously talking about bringing kittens and puppies that are up for adoption. Not even kidding, bringing kittens and puppies. It's like shown psychologically to de-escalate angry people when you see soft fuzzy animals. So we're periodically thinking of doing that, but it's gotten uglier sooner this year, and some lines have been crossed that have never really been crossed before, and it's unfortunate. So,
You can just send them down to the school board.
well, we do suggest that
that's
actually. These
80%
are
of the
these
bill.
are the organizations responsible for it, but no one wants to actually understand it.
Right.
Yeah.
They're just angry, and
Sure.
we're the closest punching bag. So-
We didn't, as a county, we didn't raise their taxes. Now, if their assessment changed or their dynamics changed, yeah, their taxes are gonna go up. But if you look at your bill, a lot of the other taxing bodies are the ones that went way up. So,
And then the state multiplier rule this year,
yeah.
that's new to the game.
Right.
So it's just been unfortunately
Right.
pretty ugly this year.
I just want to mention that because
Thank you.
I just don't think anybody deserves that, and I hope it stops.
One thing, the years that I've been involved, and I hate to hear it, but one thing I found out that people just don't understand. They just don't understand. They're so quick to criticize and everything. I went to the city hall chamber meeting that they had, which I thought was good, because it gave people opportunity to hear about who's doing what and how things are done. And I think that's something that's really lacking. that people just don't understand, period. And I've seen that. Even when I was at the city, they always complain about the city paying city taxes. Well, look at your bill. Your most taxes going to the school district.
2/3.
So, yeah, I really hate to hear that.
To your point, Mr. Bush, every so often I do presentations for different organizations in the state on the tax cycle. And when I did it several years ago here in the library, I had 2 people come and I'm married to one of them. And the other was a county board member at the time. So for all the anger and vitriol, nobody comes when they have the opportunity to ask the questions of, and so that makes it particularly frustrating. Because we're happy to give you the information, but nobody truly, I don't want to say that nobody, people don't really care why their taxes have gone up in many cases. They just don't want them to at all, but don't get that the road they drove on to get here and police, fire, all of these things you have. It's what it costs to live in a civilized society, but they don't want their part to be that much.
Somebody else pay for
It's okay if somebody else.
So we're working on solutions that are.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, so he mentioned a lot of the finance things, so I'm not even gonna go near that. TCM has been in the building a lot this week. They're doing a lot of training with dementia and other training. We're just gonna leave it at that. For the board, approval of the HVAC rooftop replacements, we're gonna bring forward Usher. We did have 3 companies actually fully submit a bid. 4 companies actually did the tour. So that's pretty cool. It's going to last year. We have an approval of an RFP for therapy services as our provider gave their notice. So therapy, so we're gonna go back out for that. Grape Tree is gonna come forward to the board on Thursday as a staffing to help with some weekends that we need some staffs on weekends. Kenda and Olivia are doing updates to our handbook. It hasn't been touched for a while, so they're bringing that up to snuff. Census is 47, and that's really about all I have. Unless anybody has anything.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Question?
And I don't know if Georgia got with you before she left, but we have an existing break tree contract that's in place from 2020. And I had asked Georgia why we're having a new contract. It says in there, if we're going to move away from the existing contract, either party has to give a 90-day notice.
Okay.
All of a sudden, we have a new contract. So it's not the end of the world, but I would imagine we could still operate under the existing agreement. And I know she said she was going to reach out to whomever at Braintree, and I don't know if she heard back.
Okay.
Public property and safety.
Okay. Sheriff Stovall gave his report at the meeting. He's got 1 graduated from the corrections PTI Institute. He's got 2 in the law enforcement training in their 5th week. Then he gave 1 into a pretty detailed report on the crime suppression unit. If everybody received on their emails what exactly they have been doing since first shift was on May 8th with 2 deputies working, looks like 13 shifts, and that's unbelievable what they've done. They seized $7,000 currency and drug cases, covered 59 grams of cannabis. Felony arrests, they had 1, misdemeanor arrests 2. This is just themselves, these 2 officers. 142 contacts and 70 traffic stops. It's just unbelievable that I was a police officer, and those are good numbers. He did a warrant arrest, violation of order of protection, and the license plate readers are already installed. Those 2 of them have already been installed. And the EMA directors having meetings with the fair renters and about the plans that they need to put in place up there. And that's about it.
You know what that makes me think of? Have any of you guys seen the news that guy from El Salvador's done? Lately? President of El Salvador. I haven't looked that up. I saw an interview he did with Tucker Carlson. And it was phenomenal what they transitioned El Salvador to from where it was 6 8 years ago. And a lot of it had to do with, he said the first thing we had to do was bring peace. Think about crime suppression. That's what they did. They put all the criminals in jail. And they increased the prison presence like 10. But now they're one of the safest countries in the entire world. And it's a hard thing sometimes because there's a lot of different viewpoints, especially in this country, how that should be approached. Anyway, just curious, when you said that, and when I saw that report, that's what I was thinking. Anyway, board services, Mr. President. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We've heard an update about the jail. Staffing levels, number of inmates. Do you know anything?
Well, they're getting the corrections, more correctional officers, and they have 49 inmates. That's about what they're running, 49, 50, low 50s, high 40s.
What's the capacity curve?
Last I knew it was like 40, something like that. And it was getting there back in the 2000s.
Yeah, we were housing.
Federal prisoners, and we're getting money for that.
Yeah.
That was income, and
Have to make us rich.
it gets us money.
That makes us rich.
We're still getting money every month.
Yeah.
Mr. Bush.
Well, just one thing with, circuit clerk is applying for grant. It's not a new grant. It's not a match, nothing like that. Access to justice improvement grant, which she's gonna look at, improvement forms in order, provide safe, friendly environment for the self-help center and providing accessible signage. Keep Zoom ready at all times. And order protection, system for the order of protection allowed for voices in Stephenson County to use. The grant is $31,000. That's it.
Good deal. Thank you.
Oh, we did meet Jasmine Hill, who's taking over the pretrial situation. We had opportunity to meet her. You'll find out how things go on with. We just wanted to meet her. Probation did.
Yeah, well. Good. All right, Mr. Frick. Anything in the room?
I'd always like to give you a little bit of update that we spent all of $159 this month in colony and development. We're gonna break your pocket, some of that, but, I think there's a lot of things going on. We're close. I don't know that we totally closed yet on property and mill rates. We still got some things to.
Probably be the next couple of weeks.
That's so that is moving forward. The Greater Freeport Partnership's been doing some roundtables with some of the other businesses here in town. We've been trying to look into some things as far as getting more, or looking at how they could maybe get more childcare available for some of the employees of businesses that are here in the county. They're working on a wage survey, kind of give us an idea what average wage is. You use a statewide average, or they're looking at trying to do something locally here. I just think we have some positive things going on. We thought we had movement on the visitor center, but that has since gone away. But part of the reason changed some things in the zoning policy, and that's all been taken care of. I don't think that has to come before the.
Thank you, sir. All right.
So it was a busy month. We will have 4 to the full board. this one hurts me because they're already talking about salt.
Man,
Thank you.
we just finally hit 90.
So we're gonna be looking at a more than salt, contract. Some equipment for the truck that was purchased a month ago, stainless steel bed and lights and that kind of thing. They'd like to have a new mini excavator in lieu of their backhoe, which is, I think, an excellent move. And they've run the old mower that they use for the dishes into pieces, and so they're asking for a new 5-foot mower as well. So, as far as construction wise, River Road's going to be a big project, and they're going to be kicking off Cedar Hill Road also this after.
Oh, yeah, pretty good. See no public comment, so Mr. Bush.
So move.
Have an adjournment, move, and a second. Nick, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all very much.
I feel